tutorials, if you will. If anyone in the future is working on something like putting leaves on trees, we'll have something to refer back to. Cool. Thanks for recording that. Lane, you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Yeah, sure thing. Let me share my screen.
And while Lane's doing that, guys, feel free to. This is like an open conversation as Lane is showing us this stuff. So don't be shy. Feel free to ask questions. Again, we're recording it, so I don't think you have to take notes, but this will just be an open discussion here. Go ahead, Lane.
Cool, yeah. Good morning or afternoon, time zones. So
Good morning.
I was asked to put leaves on these trees, and we don't normally do that. So I don't have a go-to method of doing such a thing. If it was like replace a sky, I'd be like, oh, boom, 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 I know what to do. So kind of my thought process in tackling this was I can get a tree from somewhere and then plant it on top. But the cons of that is trying to match the color and lighting are going to be really tricky. Another method is I could try to separate some leaves on existing trees, make a brush, and then brush in leaves, which color and lighting would match, but then the natural bunches might be a little trickier to replicate. So the option I ended up going with was not getting an entirely different tree, but getting a tree from the same shoot, but a different image. So this is from the same exact shoot. You can see it's just like the opposite view from this pool, just like a reverse shot. So I ended up going for this tree because it's going to match the light, all the other similar trees. It's going to blend in really well. So first thing I did was to bring this into After Effects and isolate just that tree. Oh, let me get rid of this.
So Lane, you brought that into After Effects?
Oh, I'm sorry, Photoshop.
Oh, okay.
Photoshop.
Okay.
My bad.
All good.
So I went for this. I ended up going and getting the polygon lasso and just rough, isolating the tree. Just kind of different ways you could go about it. You could, get the eraser, erase around it, erase everything else. You could select color range and mask from. There's different ways. I found with masking, when I did it later on, it was doing some weird artifact stuff, which I don't think is normal. But so I ended up kind of ditching the mask and just lassoing, polygoning out this area. And then from here, I magic wanded and tried to refine some of these edges here and got something more like this. So we can kind of zoom in and see, like, I did some opacity and flow differencing on some erasing tools here. I did some, jumping in there and getting the magic wand and grabbing yellow and taking it out. We're going to try to get as much of the background color out, so when we plop it on top of the next image, it blends in as good as we can get it. So that's just some of the, I'm just refining it a little more at this point. It doesn't have to be perfect, because we're going to see where, once we put it on top of the next image, we're going to see which areas stick out and need further refinement. But you can kind of see. Yeah, go for it.
Question, Lane. The image that you're working off of right now, how you're pulling this tree, was the image that you're pulling this tree from, did it already have the standard edits applied to it, or was it just blended?
Oh, good question. So yeah, this is fully edited.
Okay, great.
So
perfect.
Thankfully for this one, it was another image that they had selected, so I'd already fully edited it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, if you were to find like a good donor tree, yeah, you would want to edit that tree or that image before you take the tree out. So I got my tree down to where I wanted it, and then I just select all, copy, paste into my, let me get layers right. Not that one. Pow. So I brought it in over here, and then I got this. So I brought this in because from our tree, we have a hard, sorry, these layers are causing trouble. There's a hard cut on the frame here. So when I bring it in, we have a hard cut, and we're gonna have to fix that. But so we have that in. So then I edited, transform, scaled it, and then you can, get your opacity where you want it. I'm sorry, my layers are trying to make sure I'm on the right one. You can take our opacity down and try to align it with the tree to, to make sure we're in the right spot. We're going to try to cover up all the dead branches as much as we can. So we're aligning and scaling that. Then from here, I have another patching layer. So here, I'm going to try to extend. I'm going to be using the stamp tool a lot, the spot healing brush a lot, and the eraser a lot. With the eraser, I'm still kind of changing the opacity as needed to kind of make the edges softer. The healing brush, I kind of just leave it on content aware and let it pick its thing. But on the stamp tool, you can also similarly use opacity and flow when you need it to be softer. So I'm trying to extend some of these branches out, some of these bushes out. And then if I extend out up here, extend out down here, then from there you can spot heal brush inside. So then I'm patching it and it looks something like this. Trying to see there's some branches, I'm extending that branch on upward. There's some bushier parts that I'm extending. I'm trying not to just stamp the whole thing, just stamp, grab a spot and copy the whole tree. I'm trying not to get one chunk of bush and then copy that whole chunk over because that's a little jarring. So I'm doing that, and then I'm also will be looking to take out some of these patches here in the next kind of patch phase. So I've got my tree here, and then I'm patching down here, kind of smoothing some of this stuff out. I'm going in further and saying, hey, some of these spots need to come out with the magic wand. I need to take care of this, take care of that, keep magic wanding. I'm keeping erasing to get something more like this. And then also trying to blend my branches into the tree. I am going into the original layer and burning the background image to try to darken this up so it blends in a little better, a little more seamlessly. Another handy trick. So I've got this tree. I've gone in. It's not perfect, but another good thing to keep in mind is nobody's likely in this part of the tree. So, you can bounce out and say, hey, does anything look weird? Hey, some of these colors look a little weird. So, hey, I'm going to zoom in and go take care of those some more. But then if you take a wax at that, I think that's good enough. Let's check, zoom out, let's see how it looks. And that is helpful for me because it's makes it more step-by-step. I don't have to magically, how am I going to climb this mountain step by step? So I'm taking wax at something that stands out and looks wrong, and then zooming back out and be like, okay, does anything else look wrong? What else can I kind of tweak a little bit?
Right.
So I've got this kind of in a good spot where I want it. So then I merge and flatten the layers of that. You would, select what you want and merge those. and then I copy that and I flip it across the horizontal axis. You can do that in Transform, or there's a handy button right here that'll do it. In not After Effects, in Photoshop. So then I have my.
Hey, Lane, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Just random question. I apologize, not trying to interrupt. When you were merging those layers, is that just for like organizational purposes to keep it like nice and neat, your layers?
So yeah, I've kind of done a lot more layers than I need to show kind of different phases. In a real comp, I would have the original copy, the tree that I brought in, and then a layer on top of that so I can patch and tweak stuff non-destructively.
Gotcha.
But then at that point,
it's like nesting your layers, kind of, right?
Yeah, and then but once I get I'm getting this right tree where I want it, I'm gonna merge that so I can copy that whole thing on one file, and flip it and put it over here, and then I'll make another patch layer on top of the left tree.
Perfect.
So similarly to when we brought in the right tree, I flipped the tree, I copied it. It's not copied for here, but I flipped it over, and then I've scaled it. Gotta line it up with the current tree, cover all the branches you can. And then I flipped it so it is not as noticeable that it's the same tree. It's a mirror image and not the exact same, so it hides a little bit that we're using the same tree.
Nice.
And then, so we've got our edge from our other tree we're gonna have to fix again. And then some of the background will look, or some of the holes that we magic wanded on the other tree that looked fine, maybe over here with a different background are going to look a little goofier, or some of these edges look a little goofier because they're not hidden as well. So similarly, we are going to continue patching, zooming in. See, I got some dead branches here. I'm going to patch those over. I'm rounding out edges, corners. I'm doing my burning again to try to blend this into the original image. And I'm patching some of the healing brush, can kind of blend in this tree into this tree a little bit. And then we're bouncing back and forth to zoom in, see what we can fix what I've noticed, zoom back out. Hey, does anything look funky? Let's go back in and tackle that. So that's kind of ending up with something like that. Nice. From this. I know that's kind of a quick overview. I don't know if anyone has more specific questions that wants to drill into any of those parts, if that would be helpful to anybody.
Guys, you got any questions for Lane?
No, Lane. No, Kevin.
No, Lane.
Okay.
We are pretty clear on that one.
Awesome.
Okay.
But
can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Lane, when you place the first tree over over here, first leaves over here, so there's a straight line over there.
Yes.
Because of that tree have the straight edges over there. So yes, this one. So
right.
So instead of this, I have just one question. Maybe it's a foolish question or something. So can we just go and crop the image a little bit so we can remove the extra work for that, and just smooth it on the edges?
Yeah, that's a good. Not a bad idea. Like this, it's probably short enough where you could get away with it. I think part of a reason to not do that was if it was a more extreme crop and the client has already approved the image as it is, we don't want to crop it too drastically. But yeah, that's a really good thought.
Yeah, because it's not too much. It's just a bit of image we are cropping.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And would have saved me some time for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Len, since Kevin asked you, do you really maintain these layers order-wise? Like when you started, I was stunned. Like, oh my God, he arranged everything so properly. Basically, while using Photoshop, no one does that.
So I'm sorry. The question is, why am I
No,
using?
it's not that you're basically you do the same. Just for this training purpose, you arranged everything for these layers systematically. Second patched, second retrieve. You mention everything.
Oh, yeah. For this, I kind of broke it up to see the different steps of stuff. But in a real, if I was just doing this to get it done, I wouldn't use that many layers for sure.
Right. It's for sake of the demo, Lane. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yes.
is that the question? I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like just hats off to your patience. Like for every layer you have written everything so clearly. Yeah,
Oh yeah, no worries.
basically no one does that. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
Nothing good.
Nothing given.
Okay.
All clear,
Nothing.
Kevin.
Okay. Well, this was great and certainly helpful. While I have you guys, I wanted to bring up a situation. Yesterday, as you know, we changed our minimum photo count from 35 to 50, right? Remember, we're doing minimum 50, maximum 75. This has been communicated to all the photographers to, at this point, the jobs coming in should reflect that new rule. But Lane had a job yesterday, I think it was yesterday, right, Lane? That
Yeah,
didn't have 50 photos. How many photos was it, Lane? Like 40 something?
I think 38, something like that.
38. Okay. So the minimum count is 50 and Lane got 38 photos. So him and I were chatting like, technically this should be a fail, right? But Lane mentioned that the photographer did capture everything and he had enough coverage. So at that point we were like, cool, we're not going to fail him, but we're going to make sure we note that and make sure the photographer knows, hey, you didn't have enough photos. We went ahead and passed it, but next time it could potentially be a fail. So just to throw that out there, if you guys are seeing any jobs that are under 50, but you feel like they still tell the story, if you will, that's just a conversation we can have.
Sure, Kevin.
Sure,
Okay.
Kevin.
Sure.
Okay, cool. And then lastly, real quick, I think that these demos are great. I think they're just a great way to learn and even a great way to observe and see how Lane might approach this job specifically a different way than you would. But I'd like to keep these going. I don't think we have to do them every week, but maybe if we want to go bi-weekly. I'm a fan of doing it weekly, but I don't want to put too much pressure on you guys. I'd also like to change it up to where how Lane drove today. Maybe next time Vcash wants to show something, or Anil, you have an idea of what you want to show. But getting to that point, what I think we should do is if you guys can shoot me an email, just a quick email with like 3 things that you might want to learn or see how someone else does or something like that. And then we can kind of start planning the next one. That sound okay?
Yes,
Great.
Kevin.
Yes, Kevin.
Okay,
Sounds
great.
good.
And you guys don't have to do that tonight. Feel free to email me Monday when you log in. No big deal. And we'll go from there. So, Lane, thank you so much for showing us. That was honestly riveting for me. That was really cool. I'm not a photo editor. So I had a good time, and I hope you guys all learned something. Vcash, if you're the one recording the meeting, will you just send the meeting recording to me once you get it?
Sure, Kevin. I have one question, Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from now the minimum count will be 50.
Yeah, minimum count should be 50, correct.
Okay, and what should be the maximum?
Maximum count should be 75.
Okay, minimum should be 50 and maximum should be 75. And in the situation when lane have, so if we got the same situation, so we can go ahead and work on that.
Yeah.
Photographers captured everything whatever mentioned over there.
Correct. So like if you're getting only 25 photos, that's a different story. But Lane, quickly, do you want to kind of explain what your approach was once you realize, hey, Homeboy only gave me 38 photos, and just things that you look for to make sure that you had everything you needed?
Yeah, mainly it's the data sheet, everything that's checked off is there. I definitely too check with the coordinator. Some PMCs are more sticklers about different stuff. So on this one, it was a more lenient PMC. If it's the same number and same situation with a different PMC, it might have to be more of a hard line. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anything.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, obviously, make sure you are communicating with the coordinator, and they know, the photographer maybe didn't capture the minimum count, but you're still able to either cover everything with footage you have, or you are in fact short and it needs to be a fail. Just communication. You guys communicate with me, communicate with the coordinator. We'll figure it out. And look, the next job you get that doesn't have 50 photos, shoot me a message and we can just kind of work through that together.
Sure, Kevin.
Sure, Kevin. Sure, Kevin.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, hey, happy weekend, India team. I appreciate you guys getting on. Have a good evening. Enjoy your weekend. Lane, hopefully this day will go by fast for us and then we can enjoy our weekend.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for y'all's time before your weekend. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lane.
Thanks, Len. Thanks, Len.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Lane. Thank you, Kevin. Happy weekend to all of you.
Happy
Thank you,
weekend,
Kevin.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Happy weekend, Kevin.
Bye.
Bye.